Deebo Samuel deal, also not getting talked about much at all. Now, I was wrong, like I have been on numerous occasions, and every time I am, I come out and say, well, I was wrong, because just like other times where I've been wrong. I assumed the Jimmy G thing was going to have to happen before a Deebo Samuel deal happened. Now, that is under the assumption that salary cap matters, in which we can start diving into the salary cap numbers and more tomorrow, because Mike Greenberg, salary cap guru of the Buccaneers, is coming on tomorrow.
He's pretty good at manipulating.
So that should be a good cash over cap conversation about the salary cap, how they've been able to keep everybody on their roster for 3 straight years now getting paid. Everybody's getting paid somehow, and nobody else has been able to figure it out. But that is something we should have thought about with the Niners, even though the Niners operate in their own fashion, their own timeline. So Deebo Samuel, after a tumultuous offseason on whether or not he'd have a deal or not have a deal, took down everything off his social media. Was on a phone call that got certainly released to the public, and then kind of taken back, chit-chatting about the business of it all, alongside Hollywood Brown, and then also DK Metcalf's happenings, and every other wide receiver, Devontae, Tyreek, every wide receiver thing that happened in this modern world of paying a big-time wide receiver if you have a young quarterback that you don't have to pay. That has kind of been the MO of this offseason. So Deebo showing up and having a hold-in was fascinating, because that made us believe, oh, they must be close. They were. Sheena Quick last week reported that she's hearing a Deebo Samuel deal would be done by the end of the weekend. 70 million-ish is what she was predicting. 100%, she's pretty fucking close. Ended up being like 73.5 or 71.55 with a 73.5 max. 58.1 million guaranteed. 51 million of that being guaranteed like 2 days from now, and then another $7 million being guaranteed next April 1st, 2023 as roster bonuses. He has incentives in there for every single game. There's $650,000 incentives in there that I would assume are for like Pro Bowl or for Super Bowl or for playoffs or some sort. It says it's undocumented in the contract that Mike Florio had received for Pro Football Talk. So $58 million guaranteed for Deebo Samuel. Torrey Dondy locks up another wideout. In the last 6 months for the wide receiver market has been hysterical. I mean, absolutely game-changing. And when you look at it, Tyreek Hill is obviously at the top because like 72 million of it's guaranteed, and there's clips coming out from training camp of Tua hucking like a 64-yard bomb in stride to Tyreek Hill. And is that what their offense is going to look like? Then that's $72.2 million guaranteed. Well worth it. Now, Waddle's looking at that wondering a lot, I'd assume, especially with how the year is going to go. But the Miami Dolphins went all in on the Cheetah, and there's good reason why, because they seen Devontae Adams go from the Packers to the Raiders. What's his season going to look like? What are the Packers going to be without Devontae Adams? Universally number one wideout when it comes to everything when you're talking to other wideouts. Now, he's not as explosive as Tyreek Hill, but he's always open, catches everything, and runs every single route.
Well said. And I think, Derek Carr obviously isn't the same guy as Aaron Rodgers, but there's no reason to think that Devontae won't go and have another monster season. Yeah, he's always open. So
those two are at the top of the charts here with 72 million guaranteed, 65 million guaranteed. Cooper Kupp got 75 million guaranteed. AJ Brown 57 million guaranteed. Diggs 70 million guaranteed. DK Metcalf 58 million guaranteed. Deebo Samuel 58 million guaranteed. Terry McLaurin 53 million. DJ Moore 41 million. Chris Godwin 40 million. Mike Williams 40 million. And let's not forget, we chatted about this earlier, that's a 631 million in total guaranteed money for wide receivers in the last 6 months. Congrats to all the boys catching balls out there. Let's not forget that Christian Kirk set this whole motherfucker off. Whenever everybody saw how much money he was making in Jacksonville, every wide receiver said, hey, no offense, Christian Kirk, really like what you're doing. With that being said, the price just went up for everybody, and it kind of set this whole thing in motion. The wide receivers are going to become more and more important as the game continues to open up. You pay quarterbacks. Why? Because the game's on their shoulders. Well, who are they throwing it to? They're throwing it to wide receivers. Now, tight ends are thinking the same exact thing. Offensive linemen, specifically tackles, are getting paid because tackles are going against edge rushers, which guess what? Are getting paid. Tight ends are blocking at the end of lines. Who are they going against? Edge rushers normally. And they're catching like wide receivers. Their market's going to go up. Looks like everybody's about to get paid on the offensive side of the ball. We will see some positions kind of fizzle out in the payday market, but great for the wide receivers right fucking now. And Shanahan's creative, and that was a part of the Deebo Samuel conversation because Deebo wide out slot god, and then he was also running back and getting the ball in the run game. We were told, remember this, AJ, I said very loudly, if they're going to pay him to run, he'll run. Like, this is them saying that Deebo doesn't want to play running back anymore because he doesn't want to have those hits. He doesn't want to live the life of a running back. He's seeing what wide receivers are making. He thinks his life will be a lot better that way. And we understand that thought and narrative. But also, one X factor of Deebo Samuel is the fact that you can put him fucking anywhere. Like, that's what makes him an absolute weapon. And I said from the beginning, if they're going to pay him to play running back, I assume he'll do it. If they're not going to pay him to play running back, the right business move would be, well, we're not fucking doing it then. Turns out, incentive-based, he is getting paid if he ends up playing running back. In case the 49ers continue to use wide receiver Deebo Samuel as a running back, he has incentives in his new contract that could pay him an additional $2 million, $1.95 million over life of contract for rushing yards and rushing TDs per sources. So everything's handled business-wise, money-wise. Yeah. I think we all kind of knew that, even though everybody was telling us we were wrong about this and the Goodell stuff and everything else. I hope you guys got good pops in a moment, because I had nothing to defend myself at the time, okay? Because everybody else was doing it. But every once in a while, we can piece some shit together. And normally, by the way, it revolves around money. That is literally, I think AJ and I understand that more than anything because we potentially have been in there and seen it happen. But if the money's right, motherfuckers will do whatever. Go ahead, Tone.
So the details on that, he gets $650,000 if he has 380 or more rushing yards in a season. He gets $150,000 for 3 or more rushing touchdowns.
Jeez.
And then at the bottom, he maxes out $650 per year.
There it is. There's the money for the running back.
I mean, three rushing touchdowns. That
might
he gets
the first week.
He gets those shotgun pop passes. And
yeah. Boom. In there. Shanahan was like, Lynch to Lynch, listen, we need him to keep doing the running back thing because when he's doing that, it's a clusterfuck, and then when he lines up everywhere up, like, well, let's fucking pay the guy. Can we pay the guy? Can we just pay the guy? And we tried to. Dahn was like, nah, no running back, no running back. What if we had another like $2 million on that thing? No wide receivers making that? Let's see what they say. Dahn, what do you think? Absolutely not. Ask Deebo. Yeah, I'm with it. All right. That's what I thought. Thank you. Let's put that thing in there because it is Deebo and Kittle are so fun to watch. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, and they're so tough to think of. If you're defensive coordinator, how will we defend this offense? What are we going to do, especially if Trey Lance comes in and starts lighting up right away, misdirection? Like, it's a cool mixture of, like, Deebo is such a physical downhill runner, too, when he has the ball in his hands. Like, Kittle, like they have game changers all over the place.
So, who'd they have pulling?
Trent Williams.
Trent Williams. So, you get that pop pass, but you keep it. And you got Trent Williams pulling this way, and then Kittle pulling with Deebo this way.
Yeah.
And then you got Trey Lance pulling with Williams, and then Kittle and Deebo going this way. Like, what? Look at AJ's face.
Yeah.
AJ's
have fun.
Look at AJ.
Because he's thinking about reading the guards and fucking.
Yeah, that's happening at the exact same time.
You're gonna be playing, and it forces you too with all this to. You're never like all in on the run or pass. Oh, here we go. Oh, wait. Oh, I took a half second to try to diagnose this play, and now Trent Williams in my face, running me over, and Deebo is running over my face too. Or, like you said, I'm selling out in the run. Bam, he's behind me. Now we all look stupid. How do we stop him?
And they can, the pop pass, the motion just automatically gets eyes, and if he ends up just pulling it back, then he can run that
or pass it.
Or throw it, or there's even a pitch out of that thing. So you got literally like 5 options going both ways there. Shanahan's going to be fucking with everybody, and that's just acting as if Trey Lance isn't a great pocket passer yet.
Right.
That can maybe cerebral. This is us just thinking like, hey, if he doesn't know shit about just natural athletic ability, there is so many options already for them. And that little, he was on one leg there. Did you see that shit? He was on one leg running left, 3/4 flick, basically right on the money, 45 yards on the field.
Yeah. He's plus 4,000 with MVP. You can still get him at, too.
Didn't he have a...
That's a fucking filthy ball.